coverage of women's college soccer. We are coming to you live from Salem Stadium at Wakeman Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina. This is the 2018 NCAA Women's College Cup Championship. It is an all-ACC affair today and a rematch of the ACC Championship game as the North Carolina Tar Heels take on the Florida State Seminoles. North Carolina opened the College Cup with a double overtime win on Friday against previously unbeaten Georgetown. Florida State knocked off the nation's other unbeaten team and defending national champs Stanford with a 2-0 win. Florida State and North Carolina split their two meetings this season, most recently in the ACC Championship game right here in Cary. Dallas Dorsey came off the bench with 2 goals to give Florida State a lead early, but then in the 62nd minute, Brooke Bollinger went down with an injury in goal for the Seminoles. North Carolina came back with 2 goals to tie it, but Florida State would have the last word. 84th minute, Christina Lynch put it away as the Seminoles became the first 7 seed to win the ACC Championship, their 6th in program history. Hi everybody, I'm Jen Hildreth alongside former U.S. national team captain, Stanford alum, Julie Foudy. Julie, it is all ACC today for the first time since 2014 when Florida State beat Virginia for the Seminoles' first ever national championship.
May have been the Seminoles' first ever national championship, and they're going for their second. But on the other side of today's game, you've got some collegiate soccer royalty. University of North Carolina with 21 NCAA titles, right? And the last one they won, 2012. By those standards, it's been a long time.
Right.
But for Florida State, this is an excellent team. We saw how easily they got through Stanford in the semifinal. A very good team. And this is a team that is chock full of international talent.
It's interesting, though, in this tournament so far, our stars have been the defenders, haven't they?
They have indeed. And this one in the game on Friday night, the semifinal for North Carolina, it started with the left back, Emily Fox, who found, as we spot shadow there, Julia Ashley, the right back, who happens to be an 800-meter track star from high school, so she can make this run in double overtime. And she just weaved through the Georgetown defense. What a beautiful play by UNC. In the 108th minute, it's senior Julia Ashley with the game winner.
What an incredible moment that was. 2 defenders scored for Florida State in their match as well. But when you talk about all of their international talent, look no further than that midfield.
And we have said, if you want to get a glimpse at the future of soccer, not just in this country, in the world, look no further than that midfield, Jen. You got a Chinese under-20 national team player who is so special in Yuji Zhao, Venezuelan star who was also a FIFA Player of the Year shortlist finalist in 2017, and, of course, Jalen Howell, who's been a star on the youth national team for the United States. I mean, that midfield right there is going to be a handful for North Carolina today.
The last time these two teams played in the national championship game, they both came away winners. Well, only one gets to do that today. We'll have starting lineups and the kick when we come back to Cary. watching the 2018 NCAA Women's College Cup, our championship game today in Cary, North Carolina, between the Florida State Seminoles and the North Carolina Tar Heels, an ACC championship game rematch for Florida State. Mark Krikorian's team will line up the same way they did in their semifinal win over Stanford.
And pay particular attention to Kuika and Berkeley. That two center back pair is so good, not only defensively as we saw against Stanford, but offensively as well. Berkeley getting her first goal on the season, and what a game she had getting forward as well.
And one note, she will be wearing jersey number 18 today, Berkeley. Just found that out, so something to keep an eye on. For North Carolina and Anson Dorrance, here's how the Tar Heels will look.
Same for the Tar Heels as well, 4-3-3. And Florida State is going to be watching Dorian Bailey closely because this senior loves to get forward out of midfield, and when she does, she is constantly getting in dangerous positions.
These two teams both coming in as number 1 seeds. We had all 4 number 1 seeds here in Cary at the College Cup, and if you look at their numbers, pretty statistically even throughout the season until you get down to that last
all
category.
the way down to the bottom. But to be fair, no one is close to UNC in that category.
21 NCAA championships for the Tar Heels, looking for their first since 2012. Caroline Jeffers will be in goal for the Seminoles, as she has been since that ACC championship game when she took over in the 62nd minute for the injured Brooke Bollinger. On the other side for North Carolina, Sam Leshnak has been in goal throughout most of this season for the Tar Heels, and in every one of these NCAA tournament games has come up big when needed. That goals against average, 3rd in the country, .37 GAA. Got a senior in Leshnak, redshirt junior in Jeffers on the other end. These two teams, as I said earlier, split their 2 meetings during the regular season, with North Carolina winning in Tallahassee earlier in the year. Florida State does have 9 wins against the Tar Heels. North Carolina owns the all-time series, but those 9 wins, interestingly, the most by any team against North Carolina.
Think about that. No one has beaten North Carolina more times than Florida State. And that's only 9 times in the history of the programs.
I'm ready for this one today. North Carolina wearing navy blue on the field. Florida State in white. A lot of Tar Heel blue in the stands, though, as you can see, just down the road from Chapel Hill. And the Tar Heels played majority of their home games here at Wake Med Soccer Park on a different field this season, as their stadium is under construction. Should be beautiful once it is finished. There's Emily Fox, defender that was key in getting that game-winning goal in the 108th minute against Georgetown, finding Julie Ashley, the right back. Now the Tar Heels work through Dorian Bailey, number 29, in the midfield. Kimball was offside, she thought. Now she'll take a shot. No flag came up. She didn't even make a play on the ball initially.
And this is unusual for Florida State to give the ball back so easily. And this was a great opportunity for Kimball to actually punish him for that, because you just don't get that many looks on this Florida State defense.
I don't think she was ready. I mean, she was a little surprised.
She was surprised as well.
And she has scored some early goals in this NCAA tournament, Kimball. Scored in the 3rd minute against Virginia Tech, and in the 8th minute. 3rd minute Virginia Tech in the regular season, excuse me, and then in the 8th minute in the NCAA tournament. So the Hokies falling victim to her in the early moments. Here is Kimball on the balls, taking over that starting spot with ACC Offensive Player of the Year, Alessia Russo, out. Julie, let's get your Foudy's free kicks for the Seminoles in this championship game.
Well, the first key is what you're seeing, right? How do they keep the ball? Because UNC is going to just do as they are right now. And we've known this about UNC for decades, is they love to put pressure on players and make it uncomfortable. Yuji Zhao, ACC Freshman of the Year, number 33 from Shanghai, China. A lot of possession here from Florida State, but haven't been able to find a way through the Tar Heel defense just yet. Villalobos moving it a little further up the field, trying to work with Kristen McFarland, number 20, has it taken away. This is Ashley. And your free kicks for the Tar Heels, Julie. And the key for North Carolina is, and something that Stanford was unsuccessful in doing, is make Florida State uncomfortable. They're such a good possession team, Florida State, that you have to get energy and numbers and people and pressure on the ball. Or else, as you saw on Friday night, the challenge for Stanford is you just can't even get a hold of it. They're that good on all three lines on the ball. And this is what North Carolina's known for. They're known for running players, running aggressively. You're going to see it, those front three in particular for North Carolina.
Just saw Andrew Jeske, number 4, put some pressure on the center backs, but Kuika got it away. Zhao. McFarland will play it back toward Jalen Howell, US U20 national team player. Christian Pavlisko, the left back for the Seminoles, right along that sideline with Gloriana Villalobos, who stepped in for the injured Christina Lynch the last few games of this NCAA tournament and done an excellent job, Costa Rican international. Kuika, and here is Malia Berkeley wearing that number 18, last minute jersey change we just became aware of. Emily Fox recently made her debut with a full U.S. women's national team. What a year for her. Played with the U20 team at the World Cup and then earned her not only her first appearance, but a couple of starts.
Gets the start in that September game against Portugal. And that timing-wise wasn't great, of course, for North Carolina, because that was the ACC.
November.
Sorry.
Yeah, start of the NCAA tournament.
Start of the NCAA.
Let me check on my calendar for a minute.
It's like, wait, that's not right.
Yeah, a tough time to come away, but Emily Fox said, you know what, I felt confident. I felt I would come back and still have a chance to keep playing, and obviously she has done that. Ruben Moy found some space for Julia Ashley. She doesn't need much to get going. Will deliver the cross toward Kimball. It is headed out by Berkeley, and North Carolina earned a ton of corner kicks in their win over Georgetown. 15 of them to be exact, and now they get their first one today.
Florida State coach Mark Krikorian said, and that's what we do not want to do. We do not want to be giving up corner kicks against North Carolina, and here they find themselves 5 minutes in giving up their first.
It'll be Ruben Moy, the sophomore from London, England, to deliver it. Driven ball. Up and over the head of everybody. It's going to be a foul against Kimball. Crowd doesn't like it.
Ruben Moy always looking at that back post.
Ooh.
I don't see much in that there.
Kimball got stuck. That was like a game of Red Rover. She went down. Her own teammates were in there, though. Just a lot of bodies, a lot of contact, and whistle was blown. Referee Lance Van Heidsma. Fox on the attack for the Tar Heels on the near side now. Left-footed ball is a beauty toward the far post. A footstep away, perhaps, from Dorian Bailey.
And an early look at how critical the outside back position is for North Carolina. Emily Fox on the left side, known for her good service, and what a great ball that is. So close to almost hitting 3 different runners trying to slash there in front. But getting them forward, Julia Ashley on the right side, Emily Fox on the left, is critical to North Carolina's offense.
So how does Florida State rein that in?
Keep the ball, hold the ball, possess it. You saw against Stanford, they never even got a chance to get those outside backs forward because they were always defending the whole game.
Villalobos will push it over for Pavlisko. As we know, Florida State's backs can be active too. Here's Villalobos. Try to dribble across the box, but Brianna Pinto takes it away. Certainly something to keep an eye on is that midfield in particular for North Carolina. And if they're going to have the legs to make it through this championship game after playing a lot of minutes in that double overtime win on Friday over Georgetown.
And we talked about the quality of Florida State's midfield. And really, you've got very similar quality for North Carolina. Taylor Otto, who sits in there holding number 6. Dorian Bailey, the senior we talked about in the Open. And Brianna Pinto, who's an excellent freshman on the under-20 youth national team as well. That is going to be the matchup right there in the center of that midfield. Who wins that battle today probably wins this game.
That ball went up and over the head of Madison Schultz, number 1, the junior forward for North Carolina, but it'll still be Tar Heel ball. Schultz inserted into the starting lineup now in the last 9 matches, had her first start in the regular season finale, and had the game-winning goal in that one against Wake Forest. That was the match when Russo was injured. Fox couldn't get the cross, does get the corner.
And good things happen when you decide to take on it, especially if you're an outside back. And Fox has that mentality. Every time she gets the ball on the flank, she is looking to take on, get in the box, get in line.
See if Caroline Jeffers will be called upon here, the backup goalkeeper for the Seminoles. She's been in goal this entire NCAA tournament. Ruben Moy toward that back post, and Kimball again. It is headed down, now cleared by Florida State. Brooke Bingham gives it right back to Ruben Moy. Lifts her head, drives it across. Dorian Bailey with a tough challenge, no whistle.
Malia Berkeley coming through. Bailey and her going at it.
Neither one of those letting up an inch.
I think that's a good move call by the referee too. Just a clean, hard tackle.
Zhao. Not been able to be a lot of forward movement yet for Florida State. And this is Ashley, the right back, taking it away, crossing over to the left side with Schultz. She's going to overlap. Coverage was there, the timing was off. Today at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on ESPN2, number 1 Notre Dame taking on number 2 UConn in the Women's Jimmy V Classic. That game coming from South Bend could be an instant classic, and you can watch it anywhere on the ESPN app. Talk about 2 great basketball programs, and UConn in particular. Notre Dame reigning champs, and North Carolina, their history here with soccer.
So much similarities
Impressive.
between UConn women's basketball and UNC women's soccer, and especially with the family of those two. I mean, Ariema,
Longevity of the head coaches.
Yes, and their ability to pull all those different generations and classes and players together. And you hear UConn alumni talk about it and how close they still are to the program, and you hear the same from Tar Heel alumni and how much Anson Dorrance and Bill Palladino mean to them.
Anson Dorrance in his 40th season as head coach of the UNC women's team. And I don't think it is overstating to call both of those programs we just talked about dynasties in their respective sports.
And Ariema and Dorrance, so similar too, right, in their personalities.
They're certainly entertaining, along with being very talented individuals at what they do.
Always great for a good soundbite, for sure. Usually you can't use it on the air, however.
We do our best to work them in, though. Berkeley took it away, got it back to Villalobos. It's been a stretch where both teams have taken it away from the other here. Nobody's been able to connect more than a couple passes.
You're clearly seeing, though, a different pace coming at Florida State in this game. Friday's game against Stanford, both teams like to play. They don't necessarily like to get into the bite side of the game. They want to play pretty soccer. And so Florida State was very comfortable all game. Anson Dorrance knew that if that's the case in this game, they weren't going to be that successful. They have to get on Florida State and give them no time and pressure. And so far, they've been successful doing that.
Now they're going to have to deal with a set piece, though, from the Seminoles. Tillman, the intended target, Tar Heels win both the first and second ball as Kimball tries to move it forward. Talia Kuikka, senior from Finland, over to Pavisko, where Andrzejewski was waiting for her. Andrzejewski still moving forward. Kuikka won it back for a moment. Now Bailey's on it for North Carolina. Saw Kimball, who's offside. Kimball has been caught a couple of times. Going to have to pay attention to where that Florida State defense is keeping her.
And the beauty of North Carolina is how hard they work up front in their front three. That started from Andrzejewski, the right forward for North Carolina, winning that ball back.
I get the feeling, too, from talking with Anson Dorrance yesterday, he might have lit a fire underneath some of his forward line players. As he told us, he was pretty happy with his central players, but he felt some of his outside attacking players could have done a bit more. Andrzejewski showing it on the defensive end, as you said, working hard to win that ball back for her team. You'll see a lot of rotation along that front line as well for North Carolina as the match goes on. Castellanos had nowhere to go. Now Casey Tillman. McFarland immediately converged on. Florida State trying to find some space. Kuikka named a third-team All-American this season.
It is remarkable that there's no first-team All-Americans on Florida State's team.
It's a great point.
When you look at the international talent, the domestic talent.
Here comes Jalen Howell. Gets it out to Gabby Carl. And first goal of the season for her in the semifinals against Stanford. And it being the game winner as Zhao is trying to sneak somebody through the middle. Nobody went, but Florida State's still on it. There's Villalobos trying to work it through two defenders. And Ashley so composed on the ball.
We've talked a lot about Julia Ashley at right back and how good she's been at getting forward. Emily Fox the same, but we haven't talked about is how good they are defensively as well. Shutting down Caitlin Farrell on the right side for Georgetown. Paula Germino-Watnick on the left side for Georgetown. I mean, that front three for Georgetown is some of the most elite three in the country. And had a hard time finding any space in that game on Friday night.
Tillman gets it back. North Carolina's pressure finally pays off, but McFarland wins it back for the Seminoles. Zhao will take the shot, but not on target. So many weapons. Danger from so many places on the field for Florida State.
And this is where North Carolina has to be careful, because just a little bit of a window of opening, someone like Yuji Zhao, she's going to bend that into the upper corner. And you look at Dana Castellanos, the Venezuelan star we talked about early. She has scored some of the most magnificent goals this year. And we've seen what she can do at the under-17 level. She's the leading scorer for any player in the world at that level. But she's already at 19 years old, an international star.
Here she is on the ball. It was interesting, though, she said she does not feel she needs to be the star on this team. Feels very confident in those players around her, as well she should. When she does find her way into the game and onto the ball, she can be special, and you will notice her. Here comes Zhao. Connections again a little bit off. You can see the frustration with Zhao, hands on her head. That's the second time she's wanted to lead a teammate through the middle, and they have not gone with her. Castellanos. Villalobos will turn and face the goal. Castellanos. take one from distance, just making sure Leshnak's awake back there.
She did have a Puskas Goal of the Year attempt from just at kickoff, so I can see her wanting to look for that.
Yeah, that happened in one of those U17 World Cups that you mentioned. She played in 2 of them for Venezuela, and it was at a crucial point in the match as well. Mark Krikorian reminded us, I believe it tied the match. It was late in the game, and yeah, from kickoff in the center circle.
She knew there was no
scored.
time.
Yeah.
They take the kickoff, and she catches the keeper off her line from the mid-stripe.
Remember, I think it was the start of the second half, wasn't it, where Florida State tried to catch Stanford right from the kickoff. All of a sudden, the ball wound up in the hands of Stanford's goalkeeper, Alison Johansus. She was ready. This ball up and over the top. You could hear the communication back there. Fox trailed it all the way back before Leshnak, a shorter. She had it. Senior goalkeeper from Liberty Township, Ohio. Boy, did she come up big against UCLA in the quarterfinals. That match going to double overtime and then penalty kick shootout. She saves 2 penalty kicks.
2 great saves, too.
Kimball winning the battle. And does keep the ball for North Carolina.
Again, the presence of those front 3 to constantly battle.
Substitution for North Carolina, checking onto the pitch, number 10, Rachel Jones.
Substitution for North Carolina is Rachel Jones. Started 10 matches this season. The freshman from Lawrenceville, Georgia, a member of the All-ACC freshman team. She'll come in for Schultz in that front 3 for the Tar Heels. Coverage of the NCAA championships continues with the Men's College Cup semifinals Friday, December 7th at 8 o'clock and 10:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. For more information on the NCAA Men's College Cup, you can log on to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. See your 4 teams in the College Cup for the men right there. We have a new champion on the men's side.
No mighty Cardinal in there. Three-time champion, defending champion.
It's been a rough weekend for the old Cardinals, Julie.
It has.
But certainly so much respect earned by that program, what they've done on both the men's and women's side the last few years in soccer. Told you this complex was the home for the North Carolina Tar Heels during the regular season. It has that feel right now. There is a good bunch of Florida State fans here as well, but certainly a heavy North Carolina influence in the stands. Behind the line was Ashley. Missed the touch, though. And it'll be a goal kick for Florida State. Ashley, such an outstanding
substitution for Florida State
for this North Carolina team.
And Mrs. Castellanos loses her a little bit. If Ashley gets that first touch, she has more time than she thinks. She's in. We talked to Mark Krikorian after the Friday night game against Stanford and said, you know, what did you say to the team? What was the message? And he said the message was, we didn't come here to beat Stanford.
Right.
Don't over-celebrate this one, right? Enjoy it. Recognize that's a very good team we just beat, but we came here to win the national title, and I thought that was spot on.
Yeah.
How many times do you see teams get overly emotional about that first game and lose sight of you still got another?
And Stanford, if you had to pick a favorite, they would have probably been the one for most people at this College Cup. 45-match unbeaten streak, the defending national champs. I did think that was just such a great perspective to remind the team of. And they looked like it after that match. There was celebration, but it wasn't overly so.
They weren't going crazy, as you have seen teams do. I mean, this Florida State is run like a professional program, a professional team, and they play like it so often.
Both teams have made some substitutions. One of those up top for Florida State is Dallas Dorsey. It's a name to remember. She's on the ball here. had 2 goals and an assist in the ACC Championship. And boy, did she have a look at that one. Leshnak is fired up.
And this is what happens when Castellanos and Zhao get going. That little connection in midfield. Zhao, so good at picking her spots. And we've seen what Dorsey can do to North Carolina. They've been scarred by her in the ACC final. Almost get one on the board there. Just, you can see she's trying to just bend it around. Leshnak.
Miss
Quite
November.
pull it off. Miss November.
But now she's got to turn that over into December.
It's always a good sign when you're playing in December.
Yes, it is. Boy, she has really come on strong off the bench on every single match this season for Florida State. And what a boost she has provided, especially here recently, leading the team in the postseason. You include that ACC championship and tournament performance. Tillman working against Fox, who just held her ground. Bailey met by Howell.
Fox with the win, and then that one looks like it hurts. Jalen Howell, known for those bone-crunching tackles, asked who she reminds Mark Krikorian of. When I asked him that, he said, Michelle Akers of the old days. I was like, whoa! And then modern day, Julie Johnston, Julie Ertz.
Yep. And you know, talked about Howell being a member of the
North Carolina
U21
checking in,
national
number
team.
3.
She was earlier in her youth career. You want to know what her nickname was? 2016 U17 World Cup. Do you know it?
I don't.
Wreck-It Ralph.
That's great. I want that nickname.
All 3 frontrunners have now been swapped out for the Tar Heels. It's Rue Mucherera trying to fight to win the ball back. Rachel Dorwart in the middle, and right there, Jones on the left of that front 3 for North Carolina. Zhao. And Pinto tried to force the issue. Ball goes back to the back line for the Seminoles. Haven't seen Berkeley make any forays forward yet. Zhao sees Howell on the run. So does Wubin Moy.
Anson, in his beautiful way, said, if Berkeley's making those forays out like she did against Stanford, we're finished. If she's dribble penetrating, we're done.
And he made a great point that really the dribble penetration did seem to come a little too easily at times for Florida State in that match against Stanford. I knew that could not be the case today if North Carolina wanted to come away victorious. It was a 1-0 affair during the regular season between these 2 teams down in Tallahassee. North Carolina winning that one. Rachel Jones with the game-winning goal. Tillman did well to hold off the defenders. And here comes Carl. Carl dribbled it all the way across the box to score her goal against Stanford. She just has Jones hounding her step for step.
When you think about the international influence, it's a Chinese player playing to a Finnish player.
Zhao shot to Leshnak.
The Venezuelan player playing to a Costa Rican player. I mean, it's across the board with Florida State, 7 international players.
Certainly a big part of the fabric of their team. As we get a good look at Graham Hayes once again in the house.
In the house.
Found out he got some love on Friday. Well, we give him some love again. He does great work for ESPNW.com. You can read about Katarina Macario why ESPNW once again named her the National Player of the Year. Get a little insight also into the U.S. Women's National Team. Mucharera is going to be whistled for the foul. She is on her knees pleading that that not be the case.
I honestly think you just let that go. It's two players tangled. Play on.
And she's just so strong. Just did really well to stay on her feet initially. Kuika. Oh, wish she had that one back. Out of bounds it goes for a throw for North Carolina. There's some wind out on the field. Overcast day. It's warm in Cary. Dorwer had the assist on that game-winning goal in the 108th minute against Georgetown on Friday. Taylor Otto, haven't called her name too much yet in this match. Number 6, had it for a moment. Ubin Moy trying to get it in behind that back line of Florida State. Tar Heels can't quite get there.
There's a patience, though, to North Carolina. Maybe you didn't see as much of it on Friday, but everyone has commented on, including Annie Kingman, the graduate student in her 5th year with North Carolina, how it's so different with North Carolina and how they're playing, and that their system is much more patient. You still have the grit, and you've got the fight, which will always define this team, but there's a sophistication going forward that she says she's never seen with this team in 5 years.
It does add an extra wrinkle, and that's something Mark Krikorian is very aware of, because I asked him, I said, all right, you have figured something out about this North Carolina team with those 9 wins that nobody else has been able to accomplish that many, as you see Kingman, who told us she does feel this team is different. He agreed. He said they have the pressure. They have that aspect that they've been known for so long, that they can play, they can break lines. Didn't see as much of that on Friday, but they have that ability. There's 9 wins. A lot of those coming here since 2000 as well in this series between these two teams. Actually, from 2011 to 2016, Florida State only lost twice in 10 meetings against North Carolina. They were really dominant, had a stretch where they went to 5 straight College Cups, won their national championship in 2014. Remember, it's been all the way back to 2012 since North Carolina last won its national championship. So the pendulum did shift a bit, but North Carolina has made sure they are back right up there at the top, not only of the conference, but of the country. Bingham. Good combination work with Jones, who shifted over to that side. Mucharera on the near side now. Ashley has time. She'll lay it across. And just a trip in the middle that time from Pinto. And as we talk about Ashley putting the ball in the back of the net, she can set him up too. 10 assists on the season for the senior. There's Mucharera. Mucharera working with Carl, Canadian national team defender, who does her job.
Great defending by Carl. And that's a handful with Mucharera, because she's got her size, she's got her speed. Gabby Carl dealt with that well.
Castellanos will head to the bench for the remainder of this first half. Didn't see an awful lot of her, did we, Julie?
We didn't. When I tried to say that to Mark, she seemed a little quiet in the game on Friday. I said, does she need to find the game more? And he quickly dissuaded me of that notion. No, we've been trying to make her a more complete player. She doesn't have to see the ball all the time.
What an option to come off the bench. Anna Patton, number 5, is in there now for Florida State in place of Castellanos, English U20 national team member. Competed at the World Cup, won bronze this August. Here goes Carl, got it before it got to the end line, but the cross went only as far as Bingham. Dorsey won it back for Florida State, though. It's Fox to come away with it. A little step over to clear herself some space. She wants to send Mucherera on the run, and Rue's going for it. Mucherera and Kuika now. Kuika not taking any chances.
Trying to track back with her was Casey Tillman, the right forward. And this is the beauty of Emily Fox, being able to look up, playmate from that back line, besides being so good defensively. Kuika with the speed to match Mucherera. But what's happening with Carolina?
Oh, a chance for Jones in the box. There is no foul as she goes down.
And their ability to hold the ball is it's requiring that front line of Florida to come back so deep defensively.
Zhao carrying it up the field, but look, nobody in front of her, to your point.
All of those forwards have just made this 60-yard run back tracking. And I guarantee you, in that locker room at halftime, Mark Krikorian's going to be saying, hold the ball. Because when you hold the ball, you get players forward, you rest players. I mean, this is a lot of energy you're expending, which Florida State isn't used to in chasing if you're not putting North Carolina under pressure.
Here comes Berkeley, carrying it up. Nobody stopped her yet. She found Zhao. Oh, Dorsey was lurking on the backside of that play, too. Fox. Ball at her feet. Ashley calling for it, gets it. She has Jones. Step over from Jones, who scored in the regular season against the Seminoles. What's the call? It will be a corner, third of the match for North Carolina.
Substituting for the program, checking in for Florida State, number 15, Olivia Burgal. So replaced number 11, Mariana Villalobos.
Both teams making some substitutions. Under 10 minutes to play in this first half.
For North Carolina now on the pitch, number 14, Megan Goff, replacing number 11, Emily Fox.
Emily Fox came off for North Carolina. Morgan Goff started the first 2 NCAA tournament games is on. Megan Connolly also in for Florida State as Wubin Moy waits for her moment. 3 assists in this tournament, all of them off corners! Dorwart had a chance.
And this is a good look. You see Florida State, they always set up in a full zone, 2 post players. Dorwart just caught in between that seam. And what a good look that is. You do have Zhao on that post. She's kind of leaning on that post, holding on to it. Not sure she would have been ready if that had been on frame. But always so dangerous on those corner kicks, North Carolina.
Some pressure from Dorwart here. No problem for Jeffers.
It's interesting, Carolina, with all the corners they have taken, the service hasn't been great. They've been trying to go so far post and then bring it back. When I think with that zone setup you see from Florida State, get in the pockets of those zones. That's the downfall to a zone setup. Because there's all these little pockets you can sneak into, as you saw Dorwart do in that one seam.
And wouldn't you, too, want to force maybe some indecision from the goalkeeper, too? You look at this road to get here for Florida State. Well, they've only taken down the last 3 national champions in a row.
That's crazy. Look at that. They said one word to describe this season: we've been battle-tested. It's more than one word. They just said battle-tested.
Indeed. team that had all those international players, many of them away at various times during the season. U20 World Cup and World Cup qualifiers and friendlies. Took their team photo just before the ACC tournament, since that was the first time they had everybody together, and probably a good indication of why you're seeing this team really clicking now. It's Megan Connolly and Ru Mushirera fighting with one another for the ball.
Ru Mushirera has put in a shift tonight, or today, hasn't she? She just battles everywhere, and that is that flank position up front that Anson Dorrance, as you were saying earlier, Jen, was saying he needed to see more out of, and you're seeing it today from North Carolina.
Bingham, her ball will bounce harmlessly into Jeffers' hands. Tuesday, we'll have the 24th annual Jimmy V Classic from Madison Square Garden. Oklahoma and Notre Dame square off for the first time ever at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then it's the Gators and the Mountaineers, both games on ESPN and the ESPN app. Mushirera, good first touch. And then Dorwart just bumped enough to disrupt any opportunity for her to chase that ball. Caroline Jeffers, a redshirt junior out of Windermere, Florida. 8th appearance of the season in the semifinals as she was called into action in that ACC championship game when Bollinger was injured. Got off to a shaky start, but has done well.
And Rachel Jones, number 10. For North Carolina, making quite a difference coming in. Here's a player who has a choice to play for Jamaica in their first World Cup. Jamaican parents, they're interested in having her, or the U.S. under-20s are saying, hold on a second, don't be so fast to switch over. So she's got a big decision to make going forward, but I'm sure her parents would be thrilled to see her playing in a World Cup for Jamaica if that happens.
What a wonderful opportunity. That team coming out of CONCACAF, same qualifying region as the U.S. and Canada and Mexico. You normally hear those teams. And Jamaica, first time ever qualifying. Bunny Shaw from Tennessee had a great year for the Volunteers, and certainly a big part of that Jamaican team as well. We're into the first Big Five moment here. I guess technically we had one off kickoff as well, but final 5 minutes of the first half. Will it be a difference maker for either of these two teams? Battle in the corner goes the way of the Seminoles, and they will get the ball. First corner kick.
Boy, not happy with that call.
Well, now we'll see if Florida State can do anything from the corner. Seeing a couple of opportunities for Ruben Moy and North Carolina on the other end. This will be Megan Connolly, the senior from Cork, Ireland. Member of the Irish national team who comes off the bench, but did start in the 2015 College Cup for the Seminoles. Driven ball into the area. Headed down by North Carolina. Pinto just clears it way up the field. Zhao wanted to send Connolly. She's in the middle of those two North Carolina defenders. Dorsey seems to love playing against this North Carolina team.
Lineup game for North Carolina, checking in, number 2, Sydney Sproul.
Julie, it feels like North Carolina has had this half played more the way they want than Florida State has. Would you agree?
I agree, and I think they're going to be pleased because they've disrupted the rhythm of Florida State. The challenge for them is, do they have the legs to sustain that for 90 minutes, given they had to go double overtime, had to expend a ton of energy in that semifinal versus Georgetown. And we know how good Florida State's been in the second half this NCAA tournament. 5 of their 6 goals coming in the second. Sorry, 5 of their, I guess now you add in the Stanford game. Yeah, Stanford game, 8 goals coming in the second half.
for Florida State. Dorsey. Owned November for the Seminoles. Connolly's shot is wide.
And as this first half has come to a close, a little bit of switch in momentum. You can feel it for Florida State, starting to get back a hold of this game. And Dorsey having a good presence. She's been causing some problems with her pace, finding players in, getting herself in.
And you know, in that ACC championship game, Julie, goals for both teams scored with a lot of their bench players, sometimes by their bench players. And you mentioned that fatigue factor potentially for North Carolina. How do you think the substitutions have gone so far for Anson Dorrance in this one?
Well, he's not going to sub that back line. You haven't seen anything on that. And I think he's probably going to stay with that midfield as long as he can ride them.
Dorsey has some space now as Ruben Moy slipped. Zhao at the top of the box. Connolly. Pressure on her back, and it was great defensively by Morgan Goff. That's the only defender you'll see change, most likely, on that back line, at least the regular change we're used to seeing.
How about Brianna Pinto there, too, the freshman midfielder, number 8 for North Carolina. Big defensive play as well.
Coming up at halftime, we'll look back at our first half with highlights and analysis. Also tell you about RV Week, call to action, and look back at some of the images of the 2018 Women's College Cup. Nice touch. North Carolina, Sydney Spruill will be called offside. The sophomore came in not too long ago off the bench. Assistant referee has had her work cut out for her over there, but has appeared to have gotten herself in the right position on those calls. And so, Julie, we will head to halftime with zeros on the scoreboard between these two ACC rivals.
That concludes the first half of play, and we stay knotted at 0. Stick around, great halftime entertainment coming up next.
I think Florida State's going to be pleased with how that first half ended, but you had the middle section of that half where they lost a bit of the game, chasing quite a bit, spending more energy than they're used to. It's going to be interesting to see what some of the adjustments Mark Krikorian's going to talk about here as we wait for him to get on the headset.
And Coach Krikorian joining us now. Coach, what do you need to see from your team to get this one going a little more in your favor?
Well, I think that we certainly expected Carolina to come out fast and strong as they did and make the game a little bit disruptive for us, and they did a good job with that. But as the half went on, we got a couple of good looks, and we were able to start stringing some passes together, and now we'll have the wind to our back for the second half, which I think is a little bit significant as well.
Any adjustments you made, Coach, for second half?
No, we just need to slow this game down a little bit when we have the ball. I think that we're still in too much of a rush, and the spaces are there. We just have to see them and recognize when it's available to play short and when we have to relieve pressure and play longer.
Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Florida State and North Carolina deadlocked at 0 in the first half of this national championship game. Coming up, we'll have halftime highlights and Julie's first half breakdown.